What I read in March 2025. So the first book I read this month was Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. Actually, the reason why I read it is because I saw this book in the bookstore and it was just too pretty not to buy. Look at that cover, and then these are the edges. This book means so much to me. I am so glad that I read this, even though I wasn't planning on reading it this month. I rated this book 5 stars because I truly feel so connected to this book. If you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend. My one regret though is not reading this during summer. I read this during the first week of autumn. The next book is another 5-star read, and that is Crooked Kingdom. So after reading Six of Crows in February, I definitely had to read the second book. I love the characters and I love the world, and I definitely already miss reading this book. I'm also so glad that we finally got Wyland's perspective in this book. The detail in this map is amazing. Now, of course, after reading this book, I started watching the Shadow and Bone show, and watching the Shadow and Bone show made me want to read the Shadow and Bone series, so this is the next book that I read. As much as I love the Grishaverse, this book is definitely not as good as Six of Crows or Crooked Kingdom, so I gave it 4 stars. I still enjoyed it though. The next book I read is more of a short story, and it's The Telltale Heart. This was like a gothic horror tale, and it was very short. It was good, but not super memorable for me, so I gave it 3 stars. The next book I read was Orbital. I feel like this book is very different to what I usually read, but I still enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 stars. The way this book described Earth from space and humankind was really beautiful. It's really short as well, so this kind of book is really convenient to carry in my bag. I also love this cover. I don't know like what material it is, but it's so nice to hold. So yeah, I would recommend this book if you're not looking for something super action-packed, or if you're looking for a book with lower stakes. The last book that I finished this month was Sunrise on the Reaping. This was such a highly anticipated release in March. I pre-ordered it, but I didn't actually receive the book until 4 days after it released. When I finally got it, I was so excited, and this book did not disappoint. It's so good, but it's so sad. And I feel like the fact that we know kind of like how it's going to end just makes it even more sad, because what was going to happen was inevitable. We all knew that Haymitch was going to be the victor of the 50th Hunger Games. That meant everyone else, all the other tributes were going to die. I'm still recovering from this book actually. I also have the urge to reread the Hunger Games series again and rewatch the movies. I felt so attached to the characters. I just think this book is a masterpiece, and if you love the Hunger Games, you have to read this book. And if you haven't read the Hunger Games, then you have to read that series. I definitely rated this book 5 stars. Those are all the books that I actually finished reading in March, but the main book that I actually spent this month reading was The Count of Monte Cristo. So as you can see, I'm almost finished. I have less than 100 pages left. I love this book so much. I spent like every day of the month reading this book because it was just so good and hard to put down. I would recommend this book, but I do realize that the super long length is not for everyone. I personally love long books, so if you love long books, then I would definitely recommend reading this book. And I don't think it's difficult to read. I think the hardest part about reading this book is remembering everyone's names, because first of all, there are like so many characters, and second of all, each character has like so many different names. Not exactly different names, but like different ways that they're addressed, depending on who's addressing them. And also Edmond Dantes, the protagonist, he has so many names because he's disguised as so many people, so. but I feel like by now, like once you're this much into the book, you've kind of got the hang of it. It's gonna be kind of sad when I finish it because I feel like it was a huge part of my life while I was reading it. But I am really curious to see how things end. That was everything. This is really heavy actually. But yeah, in terms of April, I've already started reading Siege and Storm, which is the second book in the Shadow and Bone series. I'm also rereading The Picture of Dorian Gray alongside the uncensored version. I only just started this yesterday, so I'm like this much into it. But I think it's very interesting to see the differences between uncensored text and the published version. So that's gonna be something I'm gonna continue reading in April. Okay, that's all.